Hello, 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 and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Sabrina Victoria. This is Her Talk Show. We are going to be talking all about how energy, thought energy, I freaking love this, elevates personal empowerment. So get comfortable as we explore the triumphs and the challenges faced by women worldwide. We're going to be offering insights, we're going to be offering inspiration to fuel not only your personal, but also your professional growth. Super, super excited. Let's jump in.
Get ready because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
I have Laura here with me. We are welcoming all of you listening live. We see you jumping on. Thank you so much for being here. If you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can show you some love in the comments. We are here every day delving deep into the realms of health, wealth, and leadership with some of the most brilliant women globally. We've interviewed over 600 women, and today we are adding another one to the list. As the global top selling author of The Science of Empowerment, global panelist for E360 TV, Laura ignites bold perspectives forward on how thought energy empowers our mindset. I just freaking love that. Whether speaking on virtual stages, private coaching, or facilitating groups through the Courageous Leadership Program, at the foundation of her creative efforts is the alignment with personal awareness. To empower our journey is to empower the human condition. Welcome, Laura.
Hello. I was already having a good time backstage with you. And
Yes.
I love this, right? To empower,
Yes.
really empower ourselves allows us to empower each other. So I think it's
Absolutely.
such an important distinction.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And just really appreciating the in depth, just thought provoking perspective of thought energy. I've never really even thought about this. And I'd love to kind of just dive in here because you were kind of talking about this in the beginning that there's energy everywhere.
It's in everything.
Yeah.
And I know so many of us, we understand that, we fall in love, we create, a passionate experience, we see nature, but to really look at it, fully engage in all that is possible, it really is around thought. This is how we manifest. This is how we create. This is how we build momentum towards bringing dreams and goals into our human condition. So I really think thought energy, for me, it's at the top of the quantum field of being.
Yes, absolutely. So, for those that are joining us, and this being a concept that maybe they've never even thought of, nor less heard of, what does thought, what is it like?
Yeah.
What does it look like? What does it sound like? How do we know?
Yeah. Well, for me, I always wanted to be an archaeologist, even when I was a kid, amongst many things. I'm sure we all can relate to this, but I really wanted to dig. I'm obsessed with Egypt and the studying and the teaching of the mystery schools and all of that. Lots of ancient, right, technology. And I was thinking, like, what happens if you dig into your thought process? What would you find? And this led me into the science of empowerment. You would find algorithms, or you would find patterns, you would find other people's directive. But what about your own? What is your own like exploration into how you personally can use thought to create an empowered life? What would that look like? So I really ventured into it personally. And how would I, as an archaeologist, discover hidden treasures that would then ignite and inspire the rest of the world? What would that look like? And we all know, right, statistically, we've got about 70 to 82,000 words. Science always changes that number up of automatic thinking. Think about this all day long. We just are on automatic record. And I'm like, what happens if I wrote a book, I coach people, or we just talked about becoming the architect of thought itself? We started putting ourselves into the position of designing how we think about the thought process. And then how would that affect the feelings? And then how would we be able to have our own directive over how we were feeling about what we were thinking? And then what would that outcome be like? So it's really about diving into not being so blasé on our thinking, being active, being a participant, learning the mastery of thought so we can really begin to create something, I think, magnificent, just beyond getting through the motions of every day.
What a deep I've never even thought about this.
Mm,
I feel like so many people have never thought about this.
no.
It's like we're told to think, but you're telling us to think about the thought process
Yeah.
of thinking.
Yeah.
Girl.
I know no one does. I mean, like you, we talk to people all over the world, and now it's starting to catch on. Like, what is this thought energy? And it really is. I was telling you backstage, it's when I wrote the book, people were like, there's nothing about you in it. I'm like, oh, no, I want it to be a book for the reader. So as you're reading this written energy, right, i.e., information, something starts to stir in you like, whoa, wait a minute. I am genius. I am brilliance. I am, and fill in that blank, right? We can think, we're a child of God. We're a product of the stars, right? We're universal energy in movement. However, each person wants to express that. But here, we really get to look at becoming living energy on
Mm,
purpose, on point. So we're not just reading material. We're not just studying something. We're not just looking at a piece of artwork. We're not just creating a garden or loving our families. We're really engaging in why, how, what's behind it. Not so much as why are we here and how was the universe created, even though that's all beautiful. In the real time presence of living through our life, how do we use thought to have something beyond what is just told to us, what is expected of us, or what we've been trained to think?
wow.
Really becoming a creational being is how I look at thought energy.
So I'm getting it. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Mhm.
But how does somebody begin to design? You said something about designing the way we think.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to do that?
Yeah. I love this question. Um, and nothing is simple, right? A snap of a finger. We're not evolved to that point yet. But it really can be as simple as learn to become aware of how you're thinking from the moment you wake up. Just take one day, pick a day for the next week. Say that one day I'm going to be an observer of myself. What am I thinking that created that dialogue or that reaction? Why did I respond that way? What's going on in my thinking process that is causing me to react a certain way or engage in a certain way? What is going on within the structure of my mind and my thought process? When you start bringing this awareness, it's actually very empowering. It can be incredibly fun. You can get curious about what part of my brain am I using? What part have I just completely disconnected to? And when I'm talking about the brain, I don't mean it in a science way. I mean in the ability for heart brain coherence to come together. What am I doing every day? How am I creating my life? And how can I start to think about designing or engineering or creating a life just a little bit different? Maybe I can lift myself up, be happier, be healthier, be more engaged. Maybe that dream or that goal or that desire that I've just really pushed down for many reasons, I don't have to do that anymore. Maybe I can stop being limited in my thinking. I can expand the thought process to fit in self care, to fit in tapping into that goal, using thought energy to really elevate your existence.
Wow. So, tapping into this, as you're saying,
Mhm.
what is the why even bother? What's the benefit? What are the I know you talk a lot about bold changes. What are the changes that occur when somebody starts to kind of step into this?
Yeah. When you ask that question, "Why bother?" My brain is like, "How can you not bother?" Just this I think if we just go through life, right, and we're carried through life for the majority of the time, I believe at the end of our life, when we're beautiful little old ladies and we're sitting in those last breaths, there's going to be so much accumulated thought energy, i.e., coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Mm, mm,
And that's where this comes in. Why bother? Because you came here into physicality with this amazing heart, this built in system of unlimited potential, i.e., the brain mind connection, physical movement to carry it through, connections in your community to support it, how can you not bother? You've got to wake up and engage in your own awakening. It will never just happen to you. It will not happen for you. This is a universe that understands application of thought, application of time. You are not here 600 strong because you just thought about it
mm.
and then kicked back. You
Yeah.
had to think and engage and tune into that connection of thought in order to create what you continue to create. So this is why you bother. There's a purpose, there's a point, there's a connection somewhere in us that we're really attempting to experience together. So I think it's important to become aware of how you think and question yourself, right? Mastery is about curiosity. It's about really getting creative on why am I thinking this way? Why am I repeating the same relationships or the same, mental space of not being pretty enough, thin enough, smart enough, in shape enough, whatever it may be. Let me use my thinking to start to crack that code of limiting thought processes. And now let me engage in something way beyond that I've
Mm,
never thought about before.
mm,
So
mm, mm.
bother is to bother is to become empowered.
Yeah, I totally see that. I love that you're talking about, um, you said pretty enough.
Yeah.
And, I think more so now than really ever before, there's this constant pressure
Mm,
to show up in a certain way because of social media. There's a lot of individuals, especially entrepreneurs. I will work in the world of entrepreneurship, of individuals that know they should be online more, know they should be talking more, but there's a lot of uncertainty around how they look, how they are, their weight, their facial features, their hair, losing hair, thinning hair, not good hair, bad hair day, no makeup, all the things. How does getting aligned with our thought energy help with our confidence?
mm. I love this. This is an empowering conversation to have. We all go through this, women. Okay, we're not excluding men and our children, but let's stay right here to empower women. We all know this. Even the most beautiful creatures, even the most well put together women have all had a bad moment, a bad day, some of us a bad lifetime, right? I am doing this myself so I could speak with pure authenticity. I've been putting out shorts on Instagram and I look so funny. It is my husband and I crack up because he's like my husband's French. He's like, "Baby, you do not look like that in real life." I'm like, "It's okay. It's okay. Progress over perfection
Yeah.
all the time. Confidence can only be acquired through trial and error. We can think about it, we can dream about it, we
Yeah.
can vision board it, we can talk to our friends about it. It will only come upon us as we gain the experience of becoming it itself.
Mm.
Therefore, one of my favorite quotes in the science of empowerment is suspend the doubt and go for it anyways. Show up, do it. It doesn't matter if you look funny, if the quality isn't perfect, if you mispronounce a word, if you feel a little shaky. Beautiful. That's you. You're embracing the human part of you while you're learning. And there's no other learning curve other than to do it. So just be confident, even if you don't feel it. Be beautiful, even if you don't feel it. Act empowered, even if you don't feel it. The more you do that, the more empowered, the more confident you will become. It's just a natural progression. And again, surround yourself in your mind with thoughts. And it can be, right? Great self talk. The Her Talk Show. This is why I love this. I am, and fill in that blank statement as if you already have arrived to that position in your life. I am confident, period. No one breaks it. You're on mute. Sorry.
Thank you. How does this new thought process help with our community, like our family,
Mhm.
our partnerships, our children? How does it help with communication?
Yeah. For me, I don't know any other way than to be my family, my friends. Very cool, unique side story. My brother is a former USA gymnastics coach. He has worked with Olympians all around the world and was really creating mindset material way before it was the in thing to do. We talk about this all the time. How did my brother Christopher and I grow up with this mindset? I was in fourth grade in Mr. Grunfeld's class giving a talk on how to be an empowered kid, how to come up, and I was like doing all the plays. I couldn't remember my lines really well, but I would still like show up and do it on stage, doing athletics, just constantly challenging that part of myself. Somewhere I always knew that if you did not rise to the occasion, you would simply be on the sidelines. And I
Mhm.
think this is where communication comes in with such power. Ask your spouse, your partner, your wife, your husband. Talk with them as if you're talking with yourself, right? Go to your children and remember what it was like to be them at that time, or to be yourself, at that time. I have two young girls that I'm going through this with right now. One of them just going through their first heartbreak, and I'm telling her story. She's like, "Oh my God, Mama, you know exactly what I'm going through." I'm like, "Yes, this is a universal feeling." Communicate again as if you are an architect of communication. Communicate as if your own vernacular was top level. Just have fun with your life. Get creative about how you move through the challenges or the limitations, and especially be aware of the patterns. That's really what keeps us stuck. So I think community, relationships, for me, there's nothing else but that, right? Relationship with self is number one. And then your spouse, your partnerships, your children, the people that you do business with, right? This is for me all a creational environment.
Beautiful. So, what is this step process? How does somebody go from where they are right now, mentally, emotionally, to taking some steps towards this new empowering, this new confidence, this new thought process?
I have my clients always read the book first. Even if they don't understand it, I tell them it's okay. If there's a verse or a chapter or a word or just the whole general nature, you're kind of like, whoa, just read it. It was written to create new synapses in the brain. Your
Ooh,
brain will expand, it will grow, you will shift, you will change just by reading the book. Then become coachable, whether you hire a coach or you become coachable for yourself. This goes back to thought process, right? Becoming an engineer, a designer, an architect of your own exploration into your personal empowerment. If I could, what does that look like? If I were willing, what would I do? If I were accountable to the outcome, how would I handle my day-to-day outplay? This is the beauty of the J3 equals E formula. This is a very simplistic formula that is built into the science of empowerment. 5 principles, awareness to 3 fields of energy. And when you move through these 5 principles, and I can give them to you, and you understand that you are in the power seat of choice of energy, negative, positive, neutral. Now you get to create an empowered life. Because once we go through awareness, willingness, accountability, critical thinking, and energy, no matter what you're getting into an argument, ask yourself right away, what am I aware of? Here we go again. What am I willing to do? Shift this. It's on me. Full accountability, critical thinking. Let me take this emotional drama out, clear the air. Let me think with higher intelligence just for a moment. Energy. I don't want to be negative anymore. I'd love to experience a positive outcome.
Yeah.
Let me use the superpower of neutrality. That quick, you run through that system, it begins to change everything. You start to become so aware of how you are thinking in the moment of each interaction. And some people will be like, that's impossible. How can you be? But we think it anyways. We're just so disconnected to the thought process that we choose automatic interaction rather than consciously aware interaction.
Got it.
So, just use the formula. It's in the book. It's so simple. Use it everywhere. I have every style of human being in my readership around the globe using it, and it will fundamentally change something, everything, and in between.
Mm. This formula, is this the J3
Equals E.
equals E?
Yep. So that's 5 Jekyll principles, 3 fields of energy. And when you apply the principles, and again, when you understand that you are in the power seat of choice, only you can choose negative, positive, or neutral energy. So again, we're having a discussion. There's something going wrong just within my own mind. What am I aware of? What am I willing to do? Where's my accountability? Critical thinking is the 4th principle. This is a powerhouse of a principle. Just for now, suspend the emotionality. Think with intellectual processes. Energy, negative, positive, neutral. Who wants to sit in negativity, drama, self-induced chaos, patterns that just keep you stuck in limitation? Now we get to start neutralizing it because we are becoming aware that we are a pattern, right? The pattern creates the habit creates the behavior becomes the personality. Most of us are in a personality that isn't truest to our nature, our highest and best self. It's kind of how we've become because of other people's directive. So now you move through this formula and you begin to create an empowered life. So 5 principles, 3 fields of energy equal an empowered life. Very simple.
You said it's negative, power, or
Positive.
neutral? Oh, positive.
Negative, positive, neutral. So very quick, quantum field, science, right? Even heart coherence at the Math Heart Institute, positive and negative. Those are really the only 2 energies we really have. When I wrote The Science of Empowerment, I placed neutrality in there. We all need neutral, a resting ridge, a compassionate pause, however your brain needs it, a breath back, right? The box breathing, journaling, meditating, a walk in nature. We need a moment to calm the pattern of negativity down. That's where we put neutral right into the middle of the scale. Now, when you start to really work neutrality, and I am neutral almost 98% of my life, going to positive is like this. You can just move there without too much thought because it becomes your new nature. It becomes that part of you that is sitting in you that is just a little bit covered by life. But that true beauty, that true genius that's sitting in you that wants to come out and breathe and play and create is right under that negative patterning. Neutral allows you to start uncovering it, breathe some air into it. And then you just want to, I'm not saying you have to be positive, perfect positive every moment of every day, but you no longer need to stay tethered to outdated patterns. You no longer need to be in a mindset that you have to stay in a terrible relationship or stay in a bad job. And we all know what that kind of conversation can be. You actually have the power to change your life. You just do.
Yeah.
You have to know it. You have to believe it. And you have to
Yeah.
start connecting to it.
Yeah. Totally agree. Is this neutral thing, when you're saying that you're neutral 98% of the time, is this around the same mindset of like everything is neutral and we give it meaning?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's
Can you
exactly.
talk on that for just a moment?
Yeah, because everything is neutral until we put our energy into it. We
Yeah.
put our thought energy into it. We put our judgment into it. We put our acceptance or not acceptance into it. We put confidence and curiosity and creativity into it, or we don't. Whatever we put into the field, our home, our life, our car, our body, our relationships, we again, we're in the power seat of choice. We are entering in exactly what we will experience. So why not enter in beauty, power, love, kindness, health, community, forgiveness, excitement, all of what we can fill that up with? Why not? Everything is neutral until we tweak it. We either tweak it to the negative or we tweak it to the positive. Why not go to the positive side of the scale?
Yeah.
We
I
put
just
just as
love
much
that.
energy into the negative, but we're so used to it, right? Because we're trained from when we were kids. We have lots of karma, lots of drama, lots of chaos. Look at the world we're living in, the political system, the educational system. Woo! All right, beautiful. We don't have to become that. You can be an outlier. You can have a completely different directive than the mass population and bring in others and start building communities that are powerhouses of light, right? Powerhouses of thought energy, powerhouses of neutral to positive experiences.
Mm, gorgeous.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard this concept of everything is neutral. I literally just sat there like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and kind of like what you were saying earlier, like this isn't just like an overnight thing, right? We don't just sit down with Laura on a podcast and then just all of a sudden, boom, our whole mindset, and thinking and the way that we show up is totally different. It takes time to really sit in this stuff. But I'm telling you, that one simple thought process changed so much for me.
Mm.
The calmness that I have is just next level. Just recognizing what you're saying, that we all have the choice to label or categorize everything as positive or negative.
And there's so many examples. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I love it.
Yeah, there's so many examples too of, if you're in a bad mood and you're going out for an evening with your family or your friends or your spouse and you're already set up, we know how that goes. You literally are in the power seat to choose differently. Why don't we?
Yeah.
Well, because we're attached to the algorithm, we're attached to the pattern, we're attached to that way of thinking. I'm justified in thinking this. You said something, it bothered me. Now we're going to have a terrible night. Like, why are we wasting our time, right? Life is fleeting. It is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. Why are we messing it up? There's enough people messing it up. We need to counterbalance that. We need to bring more neutrality into the collective so we can begin to elevate and empower each other. And we do that by empowering our own journey first, because then when we show up and we speak and we converse and we interact, there's an energy of authenticity, and I'll use that word. It's genuine. The universe recognizes itself in that and it supports it, and
Mm.
maybe not as fast as we would like. And as you said, oh, someone could hear the podcast or read the book or have a coaching session and be like, well, where is it? Well, how long did it take you to get here? And
Yeah.
keep that in mind, please. That's another thought energetic process. It's going to take a little bit of time. However, if there is an outlier listening to this, you've got it right now. You don't have to take time. You literally, in this moment, if you so choose, to
Yeah.
change it all up.
Yeah.
You really can.
Yeah.
We're just not many of us are skilled in that way of being, but we all are working on it, especially here at her talk show. That's
Yeah.
why we're doing this, just
Yeah.
to remind everybody, yeah, you've got it. You're special.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I know that you talk a lot about community. How
Mm,
is community helpful
yeah.
in all of this?
Well, without it, we wouldn't be here, right? Our ancestors, without community, they wouldn't have survived. I just think it's at the core of our humanness. Without it, we would dissolve. We're seeing that now. We're seeing it all over the world. It's not just one country, one state, one political view. It's everywhere. The communities are being divided because, again, it's the algorithm of negative and positive. It's me against you. You're mirroring what justifies the way I think. Well, what I would do is challenge you to think differently. You don't have to think the way the other side is, but think differently than where you are. Because if we both stay connected to that thought process, we're never going to move. So, community is about allowing one another to have that space to share. And for me, this might go a little deep, but for me, it's about tuning into divinity, however you want to look at that. It doesn't have to be God energy, but it can be. It doesn't have to be universal energy, but it can be. It doesn't have to be consciousness awareness, but it can be. Whatever that means to you, community reflects back to us our most negative and our most positive being. And for me, I think it is so important to continue to create communities where we are reflecting consistently the highest and best of what we can choose to become. So for me, community is outside of maybe your personal journey of empowering yourself. Community to me is probably the most empowering experience we can have. Without it, we don't see ourselves.
Yeah, totally get that. We're obviously getting a really good idea of what you believe, what you teach. I'd love for you to speak a little bit about who you help.
Mm.
Who should be reaching out to you?
Yeah, this is a very unique question. I just was talking to a gentleman of a friend of mine in my network, who's a big influencer, and we were talking about niches, right? I've never locked myself into it ever. And I've had so many conversations with people that were like, no. At our neuromuscular training facility, where the science of empowerment began, where we train mind, body, and consciousness elevation, we have 6-year-old kids, and my oldest client is 68. There is no specific to evolution. It is open to everyone who is willing to tap into that part of their empowerment. And I just want to share very quickly a little story. 2 sisters come in. My brother trains them. They're on their way now. They've been with us for 12 years, and they're on their way up to national and regional gymnast. They were little when they came in, and they knew I was writing a book, and everybody calls me sister, and they'd be like, sister, when's this book coming out? Because they understood the mindset around Jekyll training. One day, little one comes in, Brooklyn. She's beautiful, and she was not happy. And so I took her aside for a minute and I said, listen, you see the principles on the wall. Remember, this is all about girl power, negative, positive, neutral. Which one are you willing to be? Even before you go to Coach Chris and you start training on that high bar, you come in with this energy, what's going to happen? Do you know that day she walked outside the front door, came back in, big smile on her face, ready to go, coach. I said, what'd you do? She said, I left negative Bob outside. And this has become a story that we share around the world. We talk about it at our facility all the time. This is the power of youth. This is the power of the nature that is in every single one of us. I actually right now have a coaching client who's 68. Her entire life is changing for the first time ever through the science of empowerment. You are not too old and you are not too young. No one should tell you that you are. It is about you tuning into that part of your essence that is your birthright to evolve to your highest and best self. However you decide to do it, that's on you. But as a coach, as a speaker, as a fellow community leader, and as a caring individual, and all power to the women because we bring life into this world and sustain it, I am here to help support your individual experience into an empowered life. 6 or 68, it's all good.
That's awesome. I freaking love this so much. How amazing.
Mm.
For those that want to follow you, for those that want to learn more, is there a place where people can go? Is there a place where people can follow the stories, the journey,
Mm.
the inspiration?
Yeah, if you go to the website, www.thescienceofempowerment.com, oh, there's a copious amount of knowledge all over that website. There's blogs, there's articles, there's testimonies. It's all about Jekyll, the training facility, my brother. It's all about my coaching. There's a media page with podcast on it. I have articles that I've written for some very cool people. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm slowly building LinkedIn. I've got a beautiful community on LinkedIn. I just started a YouTube channel where I'm going to be doing an Elevate in 20. It's going to be a free weekly mini masterclass on how to create an empowered life. So for people that maybe can't afford a book or coaching, there is a way to give back and interact so that they can feel that they're part of something and hopefully get ignited to start creating an empowering journey. So everywhere, anywhere, and of course, Amazon, my book, The Science of Empowerment. But you have to make sure you put Laura Brennan Ballet because Greg Braden and I, we come up next to each other, which is fabulous. But it's there, amazing reviews. It really is a life manual to your experience of being an empowered human being. So thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
And then on social, you predominantly hang out on Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn. Where's your favorite place?
Yeah, I like all of them. I'm starting to get a little groove down in Instagram now. A lot of my podcast, we're starting to do shorts and people are loving those. So they're little bursts of I think what can help again, right? Spark that interest for themselves because it's not really what I'm saying here. It's that part of you that's reflecting it back to yourself. And I'm a firm believer in that. So yeah, LinkedIn, I've got a really great presence on LinkedIn too.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank
Well,
you.
this has been so enlightening. I so appreciate you coming on and sharing just so much information with myself and our Her Nation community. I know that the people watching live definitely were eating this up. So, as I always say, if you're here and you've taken it all the way to the end, we love you so much. Make sure you follow, like, and share. Um, Laura, thank you so much for being
Sabrina,
here.
thank you. Thank you for all that you are doing in our world. It is important. You are needed. You are appreciated. And to all the community, keep sharing and keep growing.
Yes,
It's
thank you so
important.
much.
Thank you.
This brings us to an end of yet another incredible episode of Her Talk Show. Thank you so much for those of you here. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for inspiring us, Laura. Once again, I am your host. My name is Sabrina Victoria. I run a community called Her Nation where we continue to have conversations just like this one to help uplift you every step of the way. We encourage you to check out the links below. Laura's link is below thescienceofempowerment.com. It's in a clickable link. And then Her Nation, our Facebook group, is also in a clickable link. Make sure that you follow, like, and share. Until next time, as always, do something awesome.